Hello YouTube, my name is Myles Anderson. I'm a professional joke explainer, and today I'm explaining the jokes of Dave Smith, one of the best comedians working today.
Thank you very much. New York City, what the fuck is going on? How is everybody? Feeling good?
All right, a bit of swearing off the top, just letting the crowd know this is gonna be a pretty crazy show.
Hell yeah. Yeah. The world is going crazy. It's hard to keep up because things are too weird. I'll try to keep you guys up to speed, okay, if you're not up to date. Kanye West loves Jews. Yeah, you guys probably thought he still hated Jews, but that's just because you're not up to date.
All right, so Kanye West, a little bit of name comedy. Kanye West is a very famous music comedian in the United States, and he often does large conceptual jokes.
He loves Jews. You got to follow him on Twitter to keep up, but this is true. Kanye West tweeted that he saw 21 Jump Street, and it was so funny that now he loves Jewish people. I'm a Jew. I'm not a good Jew. I know I'm not a good Jew.
So also there was a movie, 21 Jump Street. So that little bit there, the humor there is he mentions the movie 21 Jump Street, and people in the audience remembered how funny that movie was, and that makes them laugh there. So that was the joke off the top.
Because when Kanye tweeted that he doesn't hate Jewish people anymore, I swear to God, my initial gut reaction was like, you fucking caved, you bitch. You know? Like, I thought we were going for it, man. What the fuck happened? I was so disappointed. Did you see when...
So that joke there is the opposite of what you thought he was going to say. You thought he says, I'm Jewish. Kanye West said he hated Jewish people. And then when he said he loved Jewish people, I was disappointed because I thought he hated Jewish people. So you wouldn't think he would say that because he's a Jewish person. You'd think, why would somebody who's Jewish want them to be hated? But he says the opposite thing. So the opposite thing is that's the joke there. It's just that it's opposite. So that's very funny.
Did you follow him when he went on his 3-week I Hate the Jews fest? It was so awesome. I'm not saying everything he said was right, but it was fun, and it took balls. I respect courage, and I think we don't have enough of it today. There's not enough men who demonstrate courage, and Kanye demonstrated a lot. He lost over $1 billion of net worth just because he had to tell the world that he fucking hates Jews. When was the last time you believed in anything that much? I have deeply held views that I would abandon for $35 right now. You gave me a 20, a 10, and a 5, and I'd be like, I'll think about it. And it was so much fun.
So that's just a little joke about Kanye West losing so much money, or being brave for standing up for his belief in hating the Jewish people. See, again, that's kind of a funny joke because it's actually quite popular to be anti-Semitic these days. So I think Dave Smith's being like a little bit, he's being a bit goofy with that one. Very funny.
You see, he went on Alex Jones' show. Did you watch that? Do you know how fucking hard you gotta go to make Alex Jones the voice of reason in a conversation? Like how fucking far you gotta take it before Alex Jones is like, I wouldn't go that far. Alex Jones was all nervous and shit. He was trying to throw Kanye lifelines, it's like, he says he loves Adolf Hitler. He doesn't really love Adolf Hitler, you know, he doesn't mean that. And Kanye's like, I do love Adolf Hitler, motherfucker. Like, oof. I loved it. I thought it was great. People got very offended. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me to be offended by a rapper. You know what I mean? Like, rappers say wild shit.
It's very funny. So it's funny to open up, obviously, with mentioning famous people like Kanye West and Alex Jones, but it can be risky if you want your comedy special to be viewed for hundreds, if not thousands of years in the future. You know, there's a lot of great comedians who had 30 minutes an hour on Herbert Hoover, we can't really watch their specials anymore. It's hard to understand what they're talking about. But in the moment, this is actually very funny though. So, good stuff.
That's what they do. Maybe it's me. I don't know. I'm from a different time. I'm from a faraway, magical time known as the 1990s. That's my time. That's the last time things made sense to me. And in the 90s, you didn't get offended by rappers. That would be ridiculous. Rappers say crazy shit. They're like, fuck the police. G's up, hose down. You know? No one's ever like, that's very offensive to the hose. You'd be like, I don't think you get it. Now people get offended, but I don't know. That didn't fuck with me. What fucked with me was that the day before Kanye did Alex Jones' show, he had dinner with Donald Trump. That fucks with me. The fact that rappers meet with presidents. But that's where we're at now, America. Rappers meet with presidents. Kanye met with Trump. Cardi B went to the White House and met with Joe Biden. But yeah, that happened. Before Trump, Common and Jay-Z both went to the White House and they met with Barack Obama. That's where we're at as a country. Rappers meet with presidents. And then the president is like, what do you think I should do? And the rapper's like, well, buckle up, because I have a lot of ideas. And the president's like, thank God, I am fresh out of ideas. I have no clue what I'm doing here. That's weird to me. In the 90s, rappers didn't meet with presidents. Rappers stayed in their lane, and presidents stayed in their lane. Rappers were gangsters. Presidents were presidents. They didn't mix. You remember, any of you guys like around my age, like kids during the 90s?
This is kind of an absurdist take on Dave Smith is very amused by rappers meeting with presidents, but in the United States, rappers and stand-up comedians are generally where a lot of public policy originates, and then it sort of disseminates into the political apparatus and court system and various bureaucracy. So it's funny that Dave Smith thinks this is so weird, because he obviously doesn't understand how the government functions. So maybe he's just playing a kind of ignorant character here, but it's very funny.
Do you remember how gangster rappers were in the 90s? They were so hardcore. Yeah, maybe they weren't, but we believed it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You ever see like a gangster rapper from the 90s and you see the shit they're doing today? Like the ones who lived. You see the shit they're doing today and it just fucks you up because you can't even believe it. You know, you see like Snoop Dogg and he's like hanging out with Justin Bieber. And like in your heart.
A little bit more name comedy there. Snoop Dogg and Justin Bieber are both very famous rappers in the United States.
You're like, Snoop Doggy Dogg? You should be stabbing Justin Bieber. Like, what are you doing? You guys are friends? I thought murder was the case. Like, what the fuck happened, dude? Was it all bullshit? Because if so, I want my money back. Like, I paid $12.99 for Doggy Style in 1994. That's like $93 today. I want it back.
A little funny inflation joke there.
Hip-hop was gangster in the 90s. It was so gangster. Like, if you don't remember, go back and listen to like a gangster rap album in the 90s. But not like you do today. Like today you listen to it on the internet and you just hear the songs. Go listen to the album. Like the full album. This is what you forget, okay? Half of their albums, it wasn't even music. Like, go listen to like a Biggie Smalls album. Half the album was music and the other half was like interludes where they were just doing gangster shit. Like if you listen to a Biggie Smalls album, track 1 would be like a song, track 2 will be a song, track 3, he'll just murder somebody. Like, track 3 is just like, die, motherfucker, die. Then track 4 would be a song, track 5 would be like a voicemail. It would,
A lot of people in the audience listened to this exact CD, so really, this is a perfect joke. It's really connecting with the crowd. It's funny because they are remembering what he's describing, and when you remember something, it feels good and you laugh. So it's very funny.
Like track 5 would just be like, boop, and they'd be like, Biggie, I want to suck your dick. And then just to let you know, gangster shit was happening in his world. That's how gangster it was in the 90s. You couldn't just make an album full of music. Like, we would listen to it and we'd be like, all right, these are pretty great songs, but like, this guy hasn't killed anyone, he hasn't gotten his dick sucked. Why am I buying the album, you know? Shit was real. Everything kind of made sense to me in the 90s. Like, I just felt like everything was where it was supposed to be. Like, rappers were rappers, presidents were presidents, boys were boys, girls were girls.
Oh, here we
Like,
go.
they didn't switch, you know what I mean? It's now, I don't even know the world I'm living in anymore. I don't understand it. Like, people have these heated debates, and they're furious at each other about things we never even thought of. Like, they're debating transgenders and women's sports. That's a real debate that's happening across the country, and people are at each other's throats. Like, the right-wingers are like, that's a biological man, he can't compete in women's sports. And then the left-wingers are like, what do you mean that's a man? That's a beautiful woman with a penis. And like, they're furious, just arguing with each other.
Okay, so he's going to talk about trans people. Very smart. This is a topic that is covered by 2,000 to 3,000 comedians. 2 to 3 aspiring comedians. Again, there's just a few number of real professional comedians, but in the comedy sphere, a lot of people doing this topic, which is smart because it's trending on social media, and so this is just good business comedy here. But let's see his unique, funny take on this subject.
And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, can we all just take a deep breath and take a step back and just return to a simpler time when we had consensus on this issue? And we all agreed that we don't care about women's sports. What?
There we go.
Why is it even a thing?
Genius. So he does a callback to a joke from 1999 about not watching women's sports. That's just a classic joke that a lot of people have heard already, and so they recognize that they remember that they heard that joke before, and then they laugh. So that was a great twist there. Very funny stuff.
When did we start letting them do it? I don't remember. But it's ridiculous. Do you know what we used to say about the WNBA in 1995? Nothing. We didn't have a WNBA in 1995.
Nobody watches women's basketball. Oh, that's one of my favorite jokes of all time. I love it whenever I hear a comedian to do that joke, and I hear it constantly.
All got along just fine. I never watched Jordan dunk on some dude, and then I was like, something's missing, you know? That was pretty cool, but I would like to see a lady try a layup after this. Just to bring this whole thing home. Nothing is where it's supposed to be anymore, including me. I'm also not where I'm supposed to be. I know I'm not. Because, like, I'm objectively, what I am is I'm a 40-year-old dad. And I feel like as a 40-year-old dad, I should be looking at the younger generation. Like, I should look at a 20-year-old kid, and I think I should feel like, I should be like, whoa, these kids are wild. Like, that's the natural order. Is a 40-year-old dad looks at a 20-year-old kid and goes, these kids are out of control. But I'm not doing that. I'm a 40-year-old dad, and I'm looking at these 20-year-old kids, and I'm like, could you stop being such a fucking faggot for like 5 seconds?
Oh, shit.
For 5 seconds. Like, try a drug. Fuck something, you know? Skin your knee, young man. Is what I say.
That's risky. A bit of a risky joke there, making fun of younger people. As a YouTuber, you know, I would never do that because younger people drive this platform. People between 5 and 12 years old are sort of the bread and butter of YouTube. So I would never make fun of you guys. You know, I think you guys are really cool. I love Skibbity Toilet, and I will have some really cool lunch meat for you guys to buy very soon.
And then that 20-year-old is like, did you just say faggot? That's a very offensive word. And I'm like, you're lecturing me about the impact of my words? You're 20. This is ridiculous. I should be doing, I'm the dad. Like, we should switch. I did that joke 2 weeks ago in San Francisco. And I'm not gonna lie.
He's making fun of the fact that you can't say that word anymore. You know, but he did, and the audience laughed, which means it's fine. Just so you guys know as well, the word fagot is French for bassoon.
You guys were way cooler than they were. You guys were way cooler than San Francisco. And it was pretty unanimous in San Francisco that everyone was like, you are not allowed to say that word anymore. You're not allowed to say that word. And I know, but I'm not gonna stop.
Oh shit.
Well,
big applause break for that one.
because it's a great word. And I'm a product of my time.
So he's doing this as kind of I should be allowed to say this word joke, which has, this is sort of a common, sometimes comedians, they share a handful of jokes among each other. Once you become one of the elite performing comedians, there's just a few jokes that you all do together. And saying, I'm not allowed to say these words anymore is a joke that a lot of comedians share. It's been going on for about 15 years now, and it's always great to put it in your act. Crowd loves it. As you can hear, you got a bit of an applause break there, so great stuff.
You know, I don't think it's reasonable to expect people to change. You're supposed to stay locked in your time. Like, remember when you were a kid and like your grandpa would say some fucked up shit, but you don't like hate him because he's your grandpa and he's old. You know, you'd be sitting around the table and your grandpa's like, I saw a Chinaman today. And you're like, oh, all right. But you're not like mad at him. He's 80. Okay, well, I'm half of that. And so I'm locked in my time. I say faggot occasionally. And I say retarded a lot. I just can't stop. It's retarded is like a filler for me. It's like my Like, if you're like, what time's the show tonight, Dave? Oh, like, retarded 8?
Yeah, you're not really allowed to say that word as much anymore, unless it's in a musical context in which retard is Italian for slow down.
I don't know. I say faggot and I say retarded, and I'm not gonna stop. And I will die on that hill. Yeah. Oh well.
Big applause break. Crowd loves it.
Next year, you guys are gonna be like, how come Dave's not doing another special this year? And someone will be like, oh, you didn't hear? Yeah. He died on Retard Faggot Hill. That's what happened to Dave.
Yeah.
But he died doing what he loves.
The punchline of that joke is just the funny name for that hill. But it's all still sort of part of that shared, I can't say these words anymore joke. But a very funny name for hill.
You know, he said he was happy to die on that hill. So what are you gonna do? I say faggot and I say retarded. I do not say the N-word in my stand-up. I do not, and I want to, but I don't. Every minute I'm up here, I'm fighting the urge. Like, don't do it, Dave. Don't do it. And I don't say the N-word for one simple reason, because those were the rules in the 90s. And I'm a product of my time. I have to follow 90s code. I was a kid in the 1990s. I wasn't a kid in the 1920s. Back then, you could say whatever the fuck you wanted to say. And people would be like, you can say anything? Like, what did the women think? And you're like, they're not allowed out of the house. You know? It was a better time, but it wasn't my time. The rules in the 1990s were there's one word.
Little mini joke there, it's saying in the 20s it was better because women couldn't go out of the house because women are annoying.
There's one word you're not allowed to say, and that's the N-word. And it was a little ridiculous. It didn't completely make sense to treat one word like it's Voldemort, you know? But you can't say the word, but you can say the letter N and then the word, and then everybody thinks the word in their head, but...
So this is a classic callback. This is a callback to a Louis C.K. joke that came out many years before. So hopefully the crowd will remember that joke and they'll laugh at this joke because they'll laugh because they're happy that they remembered that Louis C.K. joke. So Very, very good stuff.
Somehow black people are still like, I appreciate you, dude. That was cool. But it kind of made sense. It kind of made sense to make the N-word the word. Because it was like a recognition. It was like, okay, look, slavery is the original sin. Like, that's the original sin of America. And it's been going on forever. Like, black people were fucked over in this country before it was even a country. Since the 1600s, black people were slaves, and that was the word they got called while they were slaves, and so that's the one word we're not allowed to say. Fine. You know? But these faggots just got here. You get my point? Like, put in some time. Quite frankly, I think it's insulting to black people that you think you should get a word. You're a bunch of racist gays, if you ask me. Whatever, this is what comedy used to be in the 90s. What the fuck happened to us? We used to have fun. Everyone wasn't so sensitive.
Clearly a lot of people from the 90s in the crowd tonight for this show, so he knows his audience well, and he's playing to them, and they love it. A lot of the humor here just comes from people all remembering together.
And now everyone's fucking offended all the time, and also the country's falling apart. So maybe it's not the best fucking plan, you know? Maybe this didn't work out so well. And this country is falling apart. We're all living through it. This shit is collapsing fast. I think COVID really exposed it. COVID's where we found out that shit is really not stable. Because it was kind of like a stress test for America, you know? It was like you throw a crisis at your country, and then you see where you're at, and we didn't do good. They threw a crisis at us, and our grade was full-blown retard. That's what our score was on COVID. We just did stupid shit, and we just kept doing it. It was like around, I think it was in April or May of 2020, when they had these 3 big studies that came out, and they all showed that the cloth masks don't do anything. They don't help you avoid COVID at all. And as a country, we were just like, well, we're already doing it, so we're gonna keep doing it for several years, probably. I hated the fucking mask phase. I hated that. I didn't want to wear them. Big applause. I'm not like even saying here. I'm better than anyone. Even before those studies came out, when I thought the masks might work, I still didn't want to wear them. Like, even when I thought I might be killing an old lady, I was like, she's had a good run, you know? Like, I don't know what to tell you. I can't breathe my hot breath all day. But back then, I was tolerant. Like, I was tolerant of people who wore the mask. Like, I just wanted to be free. I was like, listen, I don't want to wear the mask, but if you want to wear the mask and that makes you feel more comfortable, then fine, you wear it, but I won't wear it. Let's not judge each other. Everyone's fine, you know? But, I changed. Now, when I see someone who's still wearing a mask, like you see someone outside wearing a mask, and I'm like, I'm gonna rip that fucking mask off your face and spit right down your throat. That's what I'm gonna do. And then be like, all right, it's not gonna get any worse than that. So you okay? You over it? Did I snap you out of it? The fuck happened to you?
All right, so a bit of a hostile humor there towards people that were trying to protect other people from getting sick. I think that's a very funny misconception a lot of people had about masks. They thought because they watch a lot of movies, and in movies, people who wear masks are trying to protect themselves from viruses, but in this case, masks were to protect other people from your potential spreading. So it was sort of when someone was wearing a mask, it was a courtesy to other people in the room. But Dave Smith thought it was like a hostile act of people wearing masks because they didn't want to breathe the air that Dave Smith was breathing out of his face. And that is just not the case at all, but he got very, very angry anyway and wants to attack these people. So the joke here is just sort of how mad he is over a sort of a small thing. Normally, most people wouldn't get homicidal when they see somebody in a room wearing a mask around them. But Dave Smith here is absolutely irate and wants to physically assault anybody around him that is trying to be courteous to him, which is a funny thing because it's over the top and totally absurd. So hilarious, crowd loves it. Big applause break.
COVID was insane. We just did stupid shit. People did it differently. I was traveling a lot during COVID, so like I'd go to places that were doing it all different. You know, you'd be in New York and they'd just be crazy about it. They'd be like, you gotta be socially distanced and put your mask on and take 16 vaccines and all that shit, you know? And I know. That gets weird because a lot of you people took the vaccine. I know you did. Don't worry, I'm not gonna make fun of you. If you took the vaccine, I'm not making fun of you. Like, you're gonna die, but I'm not gonna make fun of you. I would never make fun of someone with 6 months to live. So, but that's how they were in New York.
That's a funny joke there. It is true, a lot of people in the beginning of the pandemic thought that vaccines developed by the scientific community would be beneficial to people and help end the pandemic, but it turned out that more prominent doctors like RFK Jr. and Roseanne Barr and Jim Brewer, they actually did their own research and found that these vaccines were actually quite deadly. And so once this information came out, it was just so funny that a lot of people still took the vaccine even after the science consensus had changed so drastically. So Dave Smith is just kind of making fun of the rubes who took the vaccine, even though people like Alex Jones were saying that it could hurt you.
New York, they were crazy. Then I'd travel around. I went to Florida, and they weren't even aware a pandemic was happening in Florida. They were like, what are you talking about? We would have heard. And they did.
And Florida is one of the smartest states.
Better than New York. Isn't that crazy? That's where we're at as a country. We had a crisis. We put our best and brightest minds up to the challenge, and they lost to Florida. That is not a healthy sign for a civilization. I apologize for every Florida joke I ever told in my life. And everyone just collectively freaked out for years, and then at a certain point, we just kind of stopped. We just stopped doing it. And there's still COVID. I'm positive right now, you know? It's just like, no one cares anymore. We just stopped and we're like, I don't know, I guess we're over it. We're in trouble. I don't mean to be like a downer up here, like everything's gonna be fine, you know, Biden's got it under control. I'm saying there's some issues that we're facing. But Joe Biden, you look at him and you're like, finally, someone with a firm grasp of the issues is at the helm. I trust him to take us home.
No, this is a joke. So this obviously came out a little while ago. Joe Biden was president about 12 years ago in the United States. So this came out quite a long time ago. And he's being sarcastic about Biden being in control and having a grasp on politics when he was famously senile. But obviously now we are in the caring and responsible hands of our Lord and Savior Donald J. Trump, one of the funniest comedian presidents working today.
I like Joe Biden as president. I do, and I mean that. I'm not being sarcastic. I actually really love him as president. I think he's the man for the job. He is the perfect representation of where we're at as a society. If someone who didn't know anything about America was like, where's America at right now? You'd be like, right there. That's where we're at. This president made of tissue paper is basically, that's what we've got for you.
Get him.
Whew. He is old. It's unbelievable. Like, I know, you guys here, you know me. Like, I'm not, people sometimes I'll make jokes about Biden or whatever, and they try to size you up, like, what team are you on? But then I have to tell them that I think both your teams are retarded, you know? Like, my team, my team is the team that thinks all politicians are criminals. That's my team. That's what it is.
Very brave.
They're all blood-soaked monsters. And more people should join that team. We're a good team. We've got a good roster. But I don't hate Joe.
That is a good message from Dave Smith. It's a little bit about political comedy here. Not super funny, but comedians are some of the smartest people on the face of the earth. So when a guy like Dave Smith says all politicians are corrupt and evil, you should trust his opinion and just not vote. Honestly, it's the best if you just don't vote. Politics doesn't mean anything. You just stay home and just let whatever happens happen. And that's the best thing to do because, again, you have to listen to comedians. There's no one with an intellect like a comedian.
Biden. Like, I hate every president of my lifetime. I can't get myself to hate Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the first president I've ever genuinely felt bad for. Like, I think it's wrong that we're making him do this. Clearly against his will. Like, he doesn't want to be president. Every morning Joe Biden wakes up and he's like, please don't make me president today. Please. And then his wife is like, you get out there and you fucking president right now. And he's like, okay. And then he doesn't know what he's doing. He never knows which direction to exit in. And that's all they talk to him about before the speech. They're like, just read the words in front of you and then exit left. And he reads the words and then he's like, fuck. Shit, they said exit something. I don't know. And he's always like doing this shit. It's just horrible. It's awful to watch. He does this thing, and I've never seen another politician do this, ever. Joe Biden does it a lot. But he does this thing where he'll start saying something, and then, he starts saying something, and then he stutters and stumbles, and then he just bails on what he was saying. He just pretends it didn't happen. You know what I mean? He'll start a sentence, and he gets, halfway through the sentence, and then he has a moment where he's like, look, we all know I'm not gonna finish this sentence. So I'm just gonna pull the parachute on this bitch. I'm hitting eject right now, and we're gonna move on to something else. He's just like, we all know how it goes, we hold these truths to be self-evident. You know the thing. And then he's just on to the next thing. And you're like, I do know the thing. I don't think you know the thing, motherfucker. I'm gonna need you to tell me the thing. But he's not gonna.
All right, so that joke there is just sort of an observation of how Joe Biden would go through a speech. And he goes through a speech like a very old, senile man. So the audience has obviously known old senile people in their life, and they can imagine that happening to them, and everybody just sort of laughs with that collective memory together. So great observational bit there.
He's the president, and he's running for re-election. And the top candidate who he's running against is Donald Trump. That's where we're at. It's Trump versus Biden, part 2. This time older, fatter, and more retarded. That's America's slogan. We were like, no, those are still the best guys we could find. We're gonna have to run it back. That's where we're at.
Dave Smith.
Someone in the crowd wants Dave Smith to run for president. Oh man, that's a funny thing to yell out because to run for president in the United States, it would be great if there was a comedian who could beat Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is the top comedian, so it's hard to be funnier than him. But also, to be president of the United States, you do have to be an octogenarian with an enormous real estate portfolio. You can't just be a comedian. Unfortunately, comedians I don't think make enough money to run for president. Maybe Joe Rogan one day, but he still has to wait about 30 or 40 years.
Nah. I'll just keep doing this. Seems safer. I don't even know what to think about Donald Trump anymore. It's hard for me to even I used to have an opinion about him, but now I have to like reevaluate everything. I'm not even sure if it was real. Like, was it all a dream? Did that really happen? Like, Donald Trump dipped his toe into politics and on his first shot became president of the United States of America? Did I imagine that, or did it really happen? I don't even know how to feel about it. Like, I used to think he was an idiot, but now looking back on it, I'm pretty sure he was a genius. Like, I feel like I was in an abusive relationship, and then I got out of it, and now I've had some time, and I'm looking back on it, and I'm like, was I the asshole? Like, it might have been me. Did I provoke him? I used to think he was an idiot. You remember you used to like come up with nicknames for everybody? I remember watching the first time he came up with his nickname for Joe Biden. The first time he ever came up with his nickname for Joe Biden, I was watching, and he was like, "Who am I running against? Sleepy Joe?" And the first time I heard it, I was like, dude, what are you, fucking retarded? Like, really? What are you, in the 3rd grade? Like, you're the president of the United States of America. That was the best you could come up with, Sleepy Joe? This is so dumb. But now, every time I see Joe Biden, I'm like, this motherfucker is sleepy. I mean, look at him. He's exhausted.
So funny.
Let him take a nap. Like, what are you doing to him?
So that joke is about Dave Smith being ignorant to the fact that Trump is a massively intellectual genius. He should have known this from the beginning. People don't succeed in life. They don't reach the top of the ladder unless they are an intellectual powerhouse. Mention anyone who's successful in America. Donald Trump, he got where he is out of pure intelligence. Joe Rogan's at the top of the heap because he's one of the smartest people alive. Elon Musk, very, very, very intelligent person. Sure, Elon and Trump were born with enormous fortunes, but if they were dumb, they would have lost all that money. But they're actually very smart, and so they kept it and succeeded.
Trump is an interesting guy. And the response to him is really interesting. It's very revealing, because they're all so scared of him. And these are like the most powerful people. Like, all of the most powerful people in the country are terrified of Donald Trump, which shows how weak they are. Because, like, what are you so scared of? He's Trump. He's 80 and fat and orange and retarded. Like, he's like a fucking cartoon character.
Careful.
His hair and skin is not the color of any human being you've ever seen. And they're like, when you watch Trump on the news, it's like you're watching CNN and then a cartoon character comes onto the screen. Like you're watching fucking Roger Rabbit or some shit. And this guy terrifies them. They're like, he could ruin all of us. And they're right. Donald Trump's an alpha. That's how he runs off instinct. Everything's a gut reaction. Donald Trump's never read a book about nothing. That's nerd shit. He saw a show about it, and he knows how he feels, you know? That's it. There was a big scandal a few months back when they raided Trump's house, and they found a copy of Mein Kampf. And everyone was like, oh my God, what's he doing with a copy of Adolf Hitler's book in his house? And you're like, yeah, but he didn't read it. You know what I mean? Like, does anyone here think he read it? Like, no. He liked the color, so he bought it. Donald Trump doesn't need to do that shit. He just bullies people. He doesn't need, and do you remember what he would do to these guys? This is why they're so scared, because he would fuck them up. Do you remember what he did to Elizabeth Warren? He took that bitch's soul. Like, she used to be a respected senator. And then Donald Trump just called her Pocahontas every day for like 4 years. And you can never look at her the same. You could never... Every now and then I'll still see Elizabeth Warren on television, and she'll be like, I have a proposal, and you're like, shut up, Pocahontas. No one cares about your dumbass proposal.
So that joke there, a lot of this main joke, recollecting things that Donald Trump did. The main humor for this joke is similar to the previous jokes on this special, which are sort of reminding people of events from the past. They remember that this happened. That makes them smile and laugh. I know that during my day, if I remember something or I see something that reminds me of something, I smile to myself, and sometimes I'll even laugh out loud. So very funny sort of remember humor that he's doing here.
So the story, if you don't know it, the story was that Elizabeth Warren had been claiming to be a Native American for her whole career. And she didn't just say it once or twice. This bitch wrote a Native American cookbook. And this is true, she was listed as Harvard Law's first ever female professor of color. And Donald Trump just decided to troll the shit out of her. And he didn't know anything. He didn't have any insider information. He's just Trump. He runs off instinct. And he was just like, that bitch looks white. And so he just decided that every single day he was gonna call her Pocahontas. And it drove her fucking crazy. He trolled her into taking a DNA test. And she took it.
So he is continuing here. He's just sort of reminiscing about the funny things that Trump has done in the past. When he was on tour, and so it is very funny to remember that stuff that he did. It is very funny. So a lot of the joke is just recounting.
She didn't have to take it. No one put a gun to her head. He just made her so angry that she wasn't thinking straight, and she took it. He said at a press conference, he goes, I will give Elizabeth Warren $1 million if she takes a DNA test. And she took it. She took it, and she made a video about it and put it on the internet. And she was like, I took the DNA test, Donald Trump. You owe me $1 million. And then the next day, the reporters came up to Donald Trump, and they were like, hey, Elizabeth Warren took the DNA test. Are you going to give her $1 million? And he was like, no.
Big applause break for remembering all that stuff that happened. Very good.
And then they just moved on. That was it. Even the reporters were like, it's not a legally binding contract. We can't make him give her $1 million. And we got other shit to talk about. So they moved on. And Elizabeth Warren was just left having taken a DNA test in front of the world for no reason. And she did not do good on that DNA test. She did not do very good. She was so excited about getting the $1 million that she completely, didn't think about the fact that her score was bad. Really, really bad. She was less than 1/1000th Native American. Less than 1/1000th. And she's been claiming she was a Native
That's true and very funny. Again, so a lot of recollecting here.
American her whole life. And then she put up 1/1000th. You can't do that, right? You can't be 1/1000th Native American and say you're a Native American. I don't know. Maybe you can. But if you can, then we should all be able to play by those rules, This is true, okay? Me and my wife, we took a DNA test. We did the Ancestry.com tests, and we found this out. We didn't know this, and this is true. We found out, as it turns out, my wife is 2% Northern African. Yeah, I almost left her. It was a tough day in our marriage, I'll tell you that much. So you never told me this shit. I'm just kidding about that part, but she is 2%.
Okay, he's just kidding there. Okay, it's good to remind people when you do a joke that you're doing a joke. Just sometimes it's good to remind the crowd that you're doing jokes when you're a comedian.
In Africa. That part is true. So that means my daughter is 1% Northern African. Okay? Now 1% is a lot more than 1/1000th. 10 times more if my math holds up. Double check me when you get home, but it's more. So fine, Elizabeth Warren, you're a Native American, but I am raising a black girl. So don't laugh at me. You have no idea the challenges of raising a black girl in today's white supremacist society.
That's so funny. So that's a bit of a little ratio joke. 1% is more. One out of 100 is more than 1 out of 1,000. So the crowd is into math and they love it.
Hey man, New York City, you guys are the fucking best.
And that's the closer. Hey.
I love you guys all.
So good.
Viva Gas Digital. Have a good night. Thank you.
What a fun trip down memory lane that was. Remembering the 90s, remembering celebrities from the 90s, remembering stuff Donald Trump did, and remembering words you can't say anymore. That was such a hilarious special of remembering comedy. So funny to go over all the funny stuff Trump did in the past. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. If you guys know any stuff that you guys remember from the past, just put it in the comments and I'll love to read it and I'll laugh the whole time. Thanks so much for watching. We've got more of these videos coming out soon. Please check out, we've got free content on our Patreon. We've got a Discord and we've got a lot of other stuff coming out very soon. Thanks so much for watching and we hope to see you at the next one in the future.